I'm filming this morning in a pop-up food bank in a church building in Oxfordshire. It's one of the many exciting initiatives that are happening all over the country in response to the coronavirus. It's great that Christians and others have decided that now's the time to put legs and arms to their faith and to make a difference in their communities. One of the interesting stories in Matthew's Gospel, Matthew 25, if you want to look at it during the course of the day, is about sheep and goats. And Jesus is saying, it's great that you brought me something to eat and gave me something to drink and visited me. And they say, I don't remember that. And Jesus says, well, for as much as you did this to one of these little ones, one of my brothers, then you did it to me. And it's a great reminder to us that Christian faith is not just about talking about stuff, but doing things like food banks and phone calls and a whole range of other things for people who are vulnerable or isolated or afraid. Now's the time for the church to step up and to do things which put flesh on our faith. That's what the incarnation is, of course. Jesus is embodying God and his action and life here on earth. So this is the time, even if we're trapped or feel trapped at home, to think about putting flesh on our faith. You could make a phone call. You could support your local food bank. If you're out and about and you can still shop, why don't you make sure that you put an extra can of food or something in the container at the edge of the shop that's collecting for food bank, or find out what your food bank needs. Some children who can't go to school are having free school meals and they may not have access to food. Let's make sure that we're supportive of the organisations that are doing that. And just because we're stuck at home and just because the church isn't physically meeting at the moment, don't think there aren't needs. If your church depends on its weekly offering, how can you support the church during this time of crisis? Don't forget that they need to continue. Your pastor, your minister, your vicar still needs to be paid. Let's make sure we're thinking about others, and perhaps you've got a missionary society that you're supporting or a charity. All the evidence is in these early days of corona that charitable giving is declining, sometimes and for some charities rapidly. So let's make sure that we're thinking of people who are involved in this sector, particularly the people who are putting flesh on the words of Jesus. So let's all be looking out with our money and our time. Even if we can't get out, people still are visiting the lonely. They're still contacting them on the telephone. Many people are staring through windows and smiling and waving at neighbours and friends. Let's make sure that we are part of the sheep, not part of the goats, part of those in Matthew 25 who are doing stuff for others, because when we do it, we're doing it for Jesus' sake. So this corona opportunity is a chance for the Church of Jesus to stop only talking. It's right to talk about our faith, but not just to do that, but to put flesh on it and to act with love and compassion and care, that our community might know that the church might not be meeting on a Sunday, but the Church of Jesus is still alive, living and active in communities, not just up and down our country, but actually all over the world, the church living, active, working for God's sake.